All right, welcome in to another episode, Kickin It with Coach Ruiz. Of course, I'm Matt Moretti here with men's soccer head coach Mauricio Ruiz, brought to you by Baptist Health. Can't forget that. Coach, a couple games under our belt now. Maybe not the results we wanted. We've battled some crazy weather conditions the last couple of weeks. We finally have a great day out here at Southern Oak Stadium. Very briefly recap, some of the challenges we faced in those games, but we'll start talking about conference play. It's here. And let's get into all that.
Yeah, and it's come fast.
Yeah.
Typically we feel like we have 5 to 7 games to build into confidence, get to mature, learn a little bit more about ourselves, build some confidence, going into conference. And what we say is either you have 2 ways to go into conference: with a lot of confidence, which is obviously ideal, or with a chip on your shoulder. And I think right now that's where we are. We're with the team. We're a team with a chip on our shoulder. Felt like the results didn't warrant our performance. I think our identity in the last 3 games on the way we want to play, the way we want to present ourselves on the field, technically, tactically, have been clear. I think the guys have enjoyed playing football in the style that we want to play. But there's a place that it's not turning it over, it's not transferring. Obviously, it's where it matters. It's a score line. So that kind of goes into more our mentality, right? And I think something that all coaches have talked about throughout is our players together haven't dealt with obstacles, during this past year of 2020, in a sense of unity, right? We've all dealt with obstacles and being adaptable in dealing with COVID and dealing with where we are, but as a team, cohesively together, that's where we are now, And we had a team meeting last night, and that kind of came out in it. We don't know as a team right now how to overcome obstacles. So that falls on me, right, as a coach, to try to identify how to identify those obstacles, how do we anticipate them from coming, and then understand the triggers that will make them happen, and build a plan on how to deal with it. And that goes into individually, that goes in between small groups, and certainly all the way up to me overlooking the whole group.
We have a sort of a unique setup here at JU in that we have Dr. Derek Mann on staff at the university as a sports performance coach. Can speak to a lot of how we approach things mentally type topics, and you brought him in to talk to the team. How did that go?
I've had the pleasure to work with him several times throughout my career. Obviously, this past year, everyone took a pause in it a little bit, but a lot of teams utilize them. I know both men's and women's lacrosse utilize them, softball utilizes them, rowing. So we're just one of the many that have the benefit and that really subscribe to his expertise. And he's another person that can present something to the group that typically coaches will present more on the surface level, that we feel like we have an understanding of. But even to the point of fitness, we have an understanding what he should look like, but you really need a fitness coach, a strength and conditioning coach, to get you to that point. So it's easy for me to identify it doesn't look like what I want it to look like. And mentally it's the same thing. And right now I've definitely took the approach of, I understand that we don't look like mentally what we want to look like. So we need to bring in an expert that can do that. And a lot of guys are familiar with him. They're comfortable with him. He's fantastic. He's one of our professors here at the kinesiology department. So a lot of guys have him in class, which helps bridge that, the familiarity of someone from an outside coming in. And that's what he does. He brings in and just does some basic level team cohesion, team building exercises that allows them to define things. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. And when you start defining compete means differently a little bit for every single person. I think we all have a general idea of what compete looks like. So he helps the group identify that. And really by identifying it is put it on the table what everyone's definition really looks like and seeing how different it is sometimes. Like hard work. What does hard work look like for you compared to somebody else? Is it a daily hard work, or is it an optional hard work? Is it every once in a while? Is it based on conditions? Is it based on your position on the team? Does that change your mentality? Does that change your attitude? The external forces you mentioned, we've had a lot of weather issues, some field issues, teams that cancel games right before they played us, so they played rested, we didn't. Those are all obstacles that we have to learn how to deal with. But if everyone has a different definition on how to do that, it makes it a little bit more difficult. And it's no different than our playing style. If we all have a different philosophy on how we want to play, it will look confusing on the field. But if we have a different style on how we deal with obstacles, it would also look different on the field. And I think that's kind of what we are. And that's where he's come in and really starting the process, timely now that we're going into conference next week, on how do we overcome these things? How do we do it together? How does it look like we're on the same page? because there's that gap right now.
Yeah. We talked in, I think, episode 1, just what the style of play is for the Dolphins and a very tactical possession. How do you combat or combine that with the guys that just want to go out there and just play hard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a very cerebral style of play, and it's hard. Sometimes you might have to combat guys that just want to go out there and go 100 miles an hour.
100%.
How do you mitigate?
Yeah, and we have some guys like that. In college soccer is a little bit of what is that second. College soccer is a little more chaotic. It's more that control chaos. It's managing the momentums in the game. You have substitution rules that are different than in the youth and then in the pros, where you can kind of sub guys in and out. And a lot of teams use that to their advantage. The minute someone looks fatigued, put in a fresh guy in. So that changes the complexity of the game. So all of a sudden, and that's typically who we are, first 20 minutes of the game, we control a lot of the possession. We tire them out, so then we can exploit spaces.
Sure.
But if they go in 20 minutes, put in a fresh legs, then it changes the concept of the game. And so some guys really need to understand on both sides of it. The guys that are go, 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 they need to understand that it is about being methodical. It is about moving lines, moving pieces, moving defenders, creating confusion for your opposition. And the guys that are methodical, which is largely most of our guys that want to be on the ball, that want to move the ball around, they need to understand that there's a sense of urgency as well. And I think our lack of urgency in moments, thinking that, wow, we were holding on to the ball for a really long time, we control the tempo of the game, well, it has to generate some kind of result or enough chances where you kind of create a little bit of anxiety for the other team. The opposite is happening. Because of our lack of urgency in moments, and because we're not getting those chances created or turned over into goals, it's creating a little bit of anxiety on our end. And it's changing a little bit of the way that we want to propose ourselves within the game. So it's balancing the two and understanding that we have to pick up our tempo a little bit more at times. And some guys that just want to be picked up all the time, they need to slow down. So it's finding that balance, which is something that we work on every single day.
That's great. And you know, we've talked a lot about how we have different guys fitting in different roles. And I know the results haven't been there. Who has stood out to you so far as some of these guys that have sort of played that controlled pace, that have been within the system and have sort of stood out to you?
Yeah, I think there are two guys I would say probably the more consistent of the performers in the 3 games, and it's been unfortunate some individual mistakes that's come from them, but really their performance has been phenomenal. It was Zach Blyce, our sophomore from Houston, Texas, defender. Strong, athletic. He's getting more and more comfortable on the ball. He's not a liability on the ball. He's someone that we can trust with decision making on the ball. But his defensive prowess is unbelievable. I mean, talk about a guy that hates to lose, that doesn't like the ball going in the back of the net. So he's just been a strength and a really nice pillar for us in the back line. Someone that I believe is playing at a all defensive player level for conference. I really do think so. And then Josh Araujo-Wilson. He came to us as a left back, but we've because we had obviously a couple bad results here, and give our guys a little bit of freedom to go and operate away from home, go get a result, and starting conference on the road with a result will build a massive amount of confidence for our team going forward.
Do you approach training differently at all the week of that first road trip, or is it just business as usual and then you're just getting on a bus one day?
Yeah.
Does anything change?
Well, our training this week is shortened because we played 2 games this past weekend.
Right.
And so first and foremost is mindful of the guys' bodies and health and recovery. So that's what Monday and Tuesday were for. Yesterday we got on the field for the first time in preparation to Stetson, and we play on Friday. So it's a short week to begin with of preparation, which sometimes is a good thing after a couple bad results. Right. Kind of short-term memory. Let's get back to what we know. Let's get back to working, and let's get ready for the game on Friday. Sometimes when you have too long to work, the feeling can kind of linger on a little bit. So our message after Sunday night, and we weren't pleased with the result. We're pleased with our performance, but not obviously not the result. It's just to listen. It's quick turnaround. Let's get ready. Let's show up to work this week. So it's really been more focused on us. I think right now we're still a very fragile team that we really need to focus on us a lot more than we need to focus on our opponent. It's a team that we need to be mindful of. The coaches will do their homework. We'll do our scouting to make sure that we can kind of communicate individually with some players. But largely this week is still about us. We're still very much in a building phase of who we want to be. And we have a good opportunity to impose our will on Friday night.
obviously this trip will be a little different than like you already touched on it. We're in the COVID times and things are a little different, but taking things backwards in a normal year, is there something you look forward to when you get out on the road with the team? If it's the night before, if there's a certain ritual you guys have as a team, a dinner, a movie, whatever it is. Is there something you guys look forward to when you get out?
Yeah, I think just, that's probably one of the reasons why after finished playing, I got back into coaching. Yeah. I think just the experience of being on the road together with the group, right? Just traveling together, getting on that bus, the pregame, and just all that kind of encompasses. In a short trip like this, we're not getting into a hotel. It's a little more business trip. Kind of get on the bus, get there. It's about an hour and 45 minutes away. But I think just the atmosphere of that business-like mentality, it's something that I personally look forward to. That we know we have a task. There's not a whole lot of fluff. At home, there's a little more fluff. We have our environment, and it should build well for us. But on the road, it's just very much focused. And I just love how the group presents themselves in the locker room, knowing that there's a business orientation, knowing that they show up dressed for work in a way, right? Like we have our travel gear, we have our bags, we have equipment. It just looks like it's more task oriented, when at home, there's a little more distractions at times. And there's really no distractions on the road. So I just look forward to that. And I think that's something that at this time our team really needs to just maintain a focus.
Well, that's great. Anything you want to add on the way out here, Coach?
No, I think conference play is it's a new energy, right? It's a new energy. We tell the guys there's 2 seasons that happen within a season. There's a non-conference and there's in-conference. And right now, we're ripe for the conference season. I think, once again, it's either go with a lot of confidence, which sometimes can be your Achilles heel as well. You go too confident, or you go with a chip on your shoulder. So I think right now the guys are hungry. I think they want to prove for themselves individually and collectively that we are better than our results have shown. I'm confident that that's the case. I'm confident in our ability to do what we are doing right now. And I look forward to coming back on the weekend and having a good weekend, being 1-0 in season.
I like it. Well, we're looking forward to it, Coach, and we'll be following along. Of course, check out Jacksonville Men's Soccer on social media at Jax_MSOC. And we'll be back here with you next week, Coach, for another episode of Kickin' It with Coach Mauricio Ruiz. This has been Kickin' It, episode 3. Thanks for watching. Presented by Baptist Health.